Alright, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and once again on another field trip. We're here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we're at Hippocrates Health Institute. And what we're going to check out today is their organic farming operation, as well as their little greenhouse where they produce some of the food that this Health Institute feeds the guests here. Now, if you recall, the longtime viewers will know that I was here maybe 6 months ago. I like to come to the South Florida for the winter when it gets freezing in other parts of the world. And I know many of you guys are still under frost, and so you might want to come visit South Florida and come to Hippocrates for a nice vacation and cleansing and detoxification. But the reason why I'm here today is to share with you guys not their garden, because I did that once again 6 months ago, but what I want to share with you guys today is one of the reasons why their garden here in South Florida is so successful. I know many of you guys viewing right now might actually live in South Florida or other places, and your garden just doesn't grow like, some of the ones you've seen on my videos, and that's because they do certain things in their garden, like the best practices to get the best growing results. So we're gonna today share with you guys one of those ways that you can get the best growing results in your garden, no matter where you live. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this amazing garden. All right, so what we're looking at now is the Hippocrates farm here. They basically have like a lot of different rows growing a lot of different crops. Here looks like they got some amazing, like 2 feet tall plus collard greens. They got sweet potatoes over there. They got some dinosaur kale here and just all kinds of cool stuff. I think broccoli and cauliflower over in the distance. And this farm has been really productive, and all the crops look nice and green, and there's actually very few pest problems that I've actually noticed. Yeah, there's a few holes and stuff, and that's just gonna happen when you're growing organically. But the bugs aren't eating everything alive. There's a lot of bugs here in South Florida, as well as maybe where you live, and it's really important to build your soil so that your plants could weather the storm. Think about it. You're only as healthy as the foods you eat, right? If you're eating foods that are junk foods, fast foods, processed foods, where they process all the nutrition out of it, you're not going to be as healthy as somebody that eats a nice whole food diet rich in fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, especially ones that you're growing at home in the best soil. So they've really worked to build the soil up here, because check it out. This soil down here, look at that. That's sand. They're growing all this stuff pretty much in some enriched sand without a lot of compost. This bed here looks like it's mostly sand. How can they do this? What makes this possible? Well, let me tell you, it's one of the most important plant nutrients that you could have. So let me go ahead over and show you guys what that is. So now we're taking a look at actually how this whole garden is watered. Right out of these spigots here, the garden's watered, and then they water out the hose. But one of the special things they're doing is they're actually injecting a fertilizer, but it's not a fertilizer that you would think of, into the whole watering system, so that the whole garden gets watered with this special fertilizer that's been giving them amazing results. Now, this fertilizer is not really anything special. Most farmers actually and most gardeners don't actually add this fertilizer. What it is simply minerals. And you might be thinking, John, I put NPK in my garden. It's on every bag. There's those numbers, 10, 10, 10, 15, 15, 15. A lot of cases actually they're not naturally derived minerals. They're, made from petrochemicals and stuff, and I don't recommend you guys use that kind of stuff. What we're talking about here is not only just the macro minerals, but the micro minerals and the trace minerals. Minerals are essential for life. What makes up water? What makes up the sun? Many minerals. We're made up of minerals. The soil is made up of minerals, and people think, oh yeah, I've been gardening my place for so long, it has enough minerals and everything's growing fine. Well, in my opinion, I always try to do the best thing possible to give my plants everything they need, and to ensure they get everything they need, much like I want to eat a varied diet. I don't want to just eat, bananas and potatoes day in, day out, because you're probably going to miss some of the nutrients that are in the dark leafy greens. I'm going to eat, papaya. I'm going to eat every different possible fruit and vegetable I can, because every different food has different nutrients, much like plants. They need a lot more than 3 minerals, or what, people tell you, maybe 15, 16 minerals that people say the plants need, because we have research on this. Well, in my opinion, the plants need so many more minerals than just the 15 minerals. And that's why here what they're using is, they're using this stuff. It's called the Ocean Solution. And this Ocean Solution stuff has 90 minerals in it. And this is documented. A lot of companies that sell mineral products may say, oh yeah, we have this many minerals, but they actually have documentation to prove this. In addition, I like that this product not only has the minerals, which I feel are super important, but another thing to go along with the minerals are the microbes. The microbes can help make the minerals more bioavailable for the plants. In addition, because this comes in a liquid water base, this is water soluble, and the minerals in an ionic form, so they can get directly into the plant. Unlike, you know, my favorite rock dust, which is actually not in an ionic form, and the bacteria and microbes in the soil are needed to break it down. So this is the fastest, most efficient way to get the minerals into the plants, you know, that they're probably not getting in your soil that's been, you know, topsoil has been degraded and all this kind of stuff. And think about it, if you're using compost, whether it's cow compost or cow manure or vegetative waste compost, and like, oh yeah, John, I got the minerals, it's from the compost. Well, where did that compost come from? If that compost was not grown in soil with 90 minerals, those plants or the animal poop are not going to contain those minerals either, right? Because we've been so far in this big cycle of farming, they've been adding mainly 3 minerals back in the soils without all 90. And when this happens, the plants suffer because they're not going to produce the most, they're not going to be the healthiest, they're going to attract bugs and, you know, pests because they're the weaker plants. Think about it. In New York City, if they stop collecting garbage for a week, right, all the rats come, right, to eat all the food because it's not being taken away. Now, if you got, you know, plants that are not healthy, right, then all the pests are going to attack those plants. I'm sure many times, like, your husband or wife may have a cold or flu, you sleep next to her, you live with her, but you don't get sick. That's because you have a strong immune system. We want to give the plants what they need to have the strongest immune system possible so that they'll be healthier. Plus, they're also going to yield more, taste better, and be more productive. So definitely really good they're using that. And it is really easy to use this stuff, you know. I like to use the rock dust primarily up to this point because I just add it into my soil mixture and boom, I'm done. It's a one-time application. With the trace minerals here, the ocean solution, you need to do regular feedings because this was water soluble, and guess what? We're in a sandy area here and everything the water will just drain down. So if you're not continually feeding, you know, it'll basically go out of the soil. So there's a really simple way to do this, and actually one of my goals is to get one of these systems, and I'll show you guys in a future episode how to set it up. And it makes it really simple so that you don't have to remember, because that's one of the things, you know, that I've learned is if it's not simple to do, I'm not going to do it, and probably neither are you guys. So how they're doing that here is really simple. They're just using a standard siphon valve. These things are super easy. Check it out. On this hose bib here, it comes out, they split it into 4, and then they have this little siphon valve. And what this simply is, we're going to unscrew this for you guys. As you guys can see, there's a little, the water comes in here and then it goes out here, so you just screw in your hose, so it's just an inline thing. And then this little hose here goes to a 5-gallon bucket, and actually they're using a Home Depot bucket here. And this just has a little tube going to it. And what this tube does, it siphons up some of the solution inside here, which is a diluted version of this, right? Because you do not want to use this full strength because it does have a sodium content in there, and sodium is a required nutrient, but in too high a concentrations it's not a good thing. So you need to dilute this stuff down because this is ultra concentrated. Put it in here and then put on the siphon valve, and then it's actually diluted down again, and then you can just screw in your water hose and then water all your crops with it. This makes the application of the trace minerals super simple, super easy, so that you will get the outstanding growing results. It's kind of getting dark here, so what we're going to do next is actually share with you guys the Hippocrates greenhouse, where they're also using the minerals to grow some of the best sprouts that I've ever tasted. All right, so now we're inside the Hippocrates greenhouse, and this is where they grow all their different kind of sprouts. So we got like flats and flats of wheatgrass, because they promote growing wheatgrass and juicing a lot of it. Actually, if you're a guest here, you could drink all the wheatgrass juice you want. I mean, think about it. If you went to like a Whole Foods or a juice bar, and they charge a couple bucks for just an ounce of this stuff, all you could drink here. And let me tell you, this is some of the finest wheatgrass you could ever drink. I mean, how the wheatgrass is grown makes a big difference on how it tastes. And I know many of you guys might have already tried wheatgrass, and yeah, it kind of tastes like grass. But if you grow wheatgrass with the trace minerals, it's actually sweet and it tastes good. And it's a lot easier to drink and get down, so you can get the health benefits from the wheatgrass, which includes the chlorophyll and a lot of other nutrition in there. Now, besides just growing the wheatgrass, they're growing some of my favorite greens. This is an excellent green that you might want to consider growing, especially in the winter time like we're in now. You could actually do it inside, and what that is the sunflower greens or sunny greens. And check it out, They use black oil sunflower seeds, and they use the organic ones here, and they get quite expensive. But most Walmarts or big box stores sell black oil sunflower seeds. Not for human consumption, for bird consumption. But you could buy those same seeds and don't consume the seeds, but grow the seeds and then eat the sprouts. I have many friends that have done this many times, and they're fine. And the sunflower greens are something really good and delicious to eat. I like to actually eat a sunflower green salad, also juice these guys up sometimes, or just blend them into a green smoothie. A really simple recipe is blend up some water or coconut water with some bananas and sunflower greens, and you'll have a nice, delicious, healthy meal replacement. And one of the reasons why the greens taste so good here, once again, is those dang trace minerals they're including. And they get automatically watered into these plants, and they go through like 300 gallons of water every few days here just watering these plants. I mean, this tray, it's quite heavy, so I can't wait to put this down. But let me go ahead and show you guys actually how they dose in the trace minerals quickly and easily to ensure all their plants are getting the maximum amount of nutrition in their most important growing stage when they're little babies. So now we're going to show you guys actually how they dose in the ocean solution trace mineral supplementation or fertilizer into the garden. They basically use this little hose here that has like, man, I don't even know, like 25 feet on it. Oh, and they left it on. Oops. Don't tell anybody I did that. So what they do to get the trace minerals into here is super simple. Once again, they use a little siphon system. Now the siphon system you guys saw outside, you need to basically really dilute the pure ocean solution down, and then the siphon valve also dilutes it. In this system here, they're using a standard lawn and garden feeder that you can adjust on the top. And then it also feeds in to the hose here with an inline valve. Now this cannot be kept on constant pressure, otherwise you'll get leakage. They do have constant pressure systems, which is the one I'd recommend to you guys because it just makes things easier. Think about it. If you set up a constant pressure system that is always being fed the ocean solution, every time you turn on your spigot, anytime your irrigation system comes on, your plants are going to be getting 90 minerals plus some healthy bacteria. They're going to make your plants flourish, make them healthier than ever, more bug and disease resistant, produce more food, but more importantly, especially to me, is to have a higher nutrient density food with more vitamins, minerals, and even proteins. I've seen before that certain studies say that, you know, like store-bought green beans could have 50% less protein than high nutrient dense foods, like homegrown stuff could have 50% more protein. So think about it, if you're growing a more nutrient dense food using the minerals and the bacteria and other things that I recommend, you could eat half as much food. Plus it's also going to have the other trace minerals that the food you're eating currently are not having. So like most farmers of stuff you're buying in the grocery store, and even unfortunately at farmers markets, they're adding like NPK. How many minerals is that? 3. How many minerals are in here? 90, right? The plants are going to use some, they're not going to use others, but who cares? The plants are going to absorb what they need to be as healthy. Then when you eat the plants that you're growing in your garden, you're going to get those nutrients too. So super simple, super easy just to feed it in with a system like this. Now what's really important is this stuff is full strength. If you pour this stuff on your plants directly, number one, it's going to get real expensive. Number two, your plants aren't going to like it because there's going to be far too much sodium. Now, you might be thinking, John, sodium's bad, right? Well, we need sodium to live. Sodium and salt is an essential nutrient for us. The problem is, in my opinion, most Americans eat far too much salt in their diet, and you can likewise give plants far too much salt. And what'll happen? Well, actually in Japan, they eat actually salt to do hiri-kiri or commit suicide. Like, you eat enough salt straight, you're gonna lose your life. You feed too much salt to your plants, guess what? They're like us, they're gonna lose their life as well. So if you dilute this to the proper ratio, it's gonna be fine and actually a good thing for the plants. So what you're gonna do before pouring this directly into the jug, you're gonna wanna make a nice dilution. So what you're gonna do is, depending on the way you buy it, this is just the standard small quart size, and then they have a gallon size, and they come in 5-gallon buckets, 55-gallon drums if you're a big farmer. I like the bottle actually that has a built-in portion control sizer. You're going to basically mix the ocean solution in a cup of water, and say we're really mixing it for this whole thing. We're just going to take this and add some water in there. You're going to fill water up in there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take a TDS meter. And this is just a very simple TDS meter. You can buy it at a hydroponic shop, get them online on eBay. I know they're really inexpensive. Maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 bucks. We're going to go ahead and turn this guy on. It's going to read zeros, and TDS stands for total dissolved solids. That's how many, like, particles are in the water. We're going to go ahead and pull the cap off, and then we're going to go ahead and put this guy into the water here. And we're going to wait a minute, and then we're going to see a ppm on it. I don't know if you guys could see that on the camera. And actually, it says 767. So the number we're looking for is 800. So I've actually mixed a fairly good ppm in here. And then now we're just going to go ahead and put this in the tank, and then let the water dilution ratio dilute it a little bit further that we could set on the top, and all the plants will be watered. So literally, just a little quart of this stuff is going to last you a long time, because this stuff gets highly diluted. So once you have it in your system, then you're just going to water and forget it. And guess what? You're going to have some of the sweetest tasting crops you've ever tasted without having to lift another finger. And occasionally you'll have to refill your little container here, and actually here, despite all the hundreds of gallons they use watering, all their trays and trays of wheatgrass, buckwheat sprouts, sunflower greens, they only got to fill this like every 2 months. So literally, this makes it super simple to get the trace minerals in your soil. I mean, I for one have been negligent on adding some of the sea minerals like they have in this product, because I gotta like mix it up and do stuff, and then it just doesn't happen. But I'm happy that soon enough I'll be having a system that'll automatically inject it into my watering system, so that every time I water, my plants are gonna be assured to have the minerals in there, so that I could grow the highest quality foods on the planet. Now, the next thing we're going to do is actually have a very special guest. I'm going to meet with the owner of the Ocean Solution Company, and we're going to ask him some poignant questions about the product, if it is really needed, why it's needed, and how it differs from some of the other trace mineral products that are currently available on the market. So I guess next, let's go ahead and sit down with John, the owner of Ocean Solution. All right, so now a very special opportunity for you guys to interview the founder of the Ocean Solution Company, John Hartman. And we're going to ask him a few questions today about the Ocean Solution product, and also the trace minerals, and why you might want to apply them, and why I think you should be applying them to your garden. So the first question I have for you, John, is why did you start the Ocean Solution Company in the first place?
Yeah, it's a great question, and really, lifelong, and for the last 20 years, up till we started the company, just a fascination with food and a complete disappointment with all the foods you could buy. And I ended up in a health seminar. They were talking about a fellow named Dr. Murray, who really pioneered the use of replacing minerals into croplands and got fantastic results. And I knew that was the answer. I knew it was the answer, is to get minerals back into food.
Wow, yeah. Wow. So I mean, I know a lot of you guys out there may be like, John, I've been growing in my garden for 20 years and I never put these trace minerals in there. I don't need to add nothing to my soil. Everything does just great as it is. John, what would you say to somebody that would say something like that? Because I know many of you guys right now might be thinking it.
It's a wonderful story, but basically, even if you ask farmers, what's your business? And they say, well, I grow corn, I do this, I do that. But in reality, what they are is strip miners. Agriculture is a strip mining operation. Think about it. You're growing a food, and in commercial worlds, they're harvesting 20, 30,000 pounds per acre. And they're only putting 300 pounds back of fertilizer. Wow. So there's a massive amount of mass that comes off that land, and you got to replace it. And you don't know what's coming off. It's not just nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. It's 87 other elements are getting stripped out of the soil. How do you put them back? Is the question. And that's what we do. We put all 90 back in a very exact proportion, and it grows nutrient-dense food.
Wow. Well, I mean, one of the ways I've been doing that is by using rock dust, but actually rock dust, depending on the variety of rock dust you get, the horticultural ones I use claim 70 minerals, but this product could add 90. So what's the difference between those like 20 extra minerals? I mean, is that really going to make a big difference?
Well, yeah, and the nice thing is the human body is an amazing instrument. It's capable in split seconds of detecting the quality of different foods. You can do we do blind tomato studies all the time. We grow, we buy some from the grocery store and we chop up the ones we grow, and literally you can mix them all up, and not only people will be able to pull out all the ones that are nutrient dense like that, and it takes $1.5 million mass spectrometer, a long time to do that, but you can do it instantly. That's how good your taste buds are and your sense of smell. And so, that's how important it is. It's very easy to detect between high nutrient food and stuff that was grown with just 3 elements.
I mean, I totally agree. One of the things that I didn't get to mention earlier to you guys is that the manager here that manages this whole department of growing food has done blind taste tests. So 4 out of 5 people preferred wheatgrass that was grown with the ocean solution than without. Another thing he said is that his crop yields increased, and he said about 20%, but he has no documentation, but he knows that things are just bigger and healthier. So let's talk about health and health of the plants and the health of the people. So John, tell us more about the health of the plants and the nutrition profiles of food grown in ocean solution versus foods that are grown in just standard NPK fertilizer that many of you guys out there may be using.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of interesting that we happen to be doing this video at Hippocrates Health Institute. The world's first doctor was Hippocrates, and he's famous for the phrase, "Let food be your medicine and medicine your food." And the other one, which is really a good quote too, is "Do no harm," which is, this is the Hippocratic oath that doctors swear to in theory when they graduate. And really, food is supposed to be your medicine. And where you see areas where all the minerals are in food, you see very good health. And one of them is in sea. Dr. Murray once had a conversation with a fisherman in downtown Boston who fished the Grand Banks, which are 1,000 miles off the coast of Massachusetts. And Dr. Murray asked this particular fisherman, all day long I deal with people with hypertension, cancer, all kinds of maladies, tumors. What the fish get? And he didn't hesitate a second, and he said, "I've never seen a sick fish." And the reason is they're swimming in their pharmacopoeia. Seawater has all 90 elements in a very exact proportion, and you see very incredible health in organisms that live in the deep ocean water. And you don't see that in terrestrial things, and that's because all the minerals have been stripped out. Our farming practices are not designed to replace minerals and not designed to protect minerals in the soil. You see little evidence of it where they're trying to protect it, like no-till farming, as a for instance, because they're trying to keep the ribosphere of the soil intact, and they don't want leaching by wind and rain and that kind of thing. But you have to put 90 things back, because the crops you grow are taking things out of the soil, and then they get shipped to market. You got to replace them.
Wow. So you're just talking about the sea and how there's never been a sick fish, or they don't get sick too often. So couldn't we use like ground up fish, like fish emulsions and other fish products, and also seaweeds as a supplement to our gardens to get those minerals? Why should we use products such as the sea water?
Yeah, it's a good question. And by the way, anything that puts mineral back is a good thing. Yeah. Seaweed's a good thing. Fish emulsion's a good thing. Not fun to work with. It smells. Yeah. It clogs injectors. There's all kinds of problems with it. But the main deal is that seaweed and fish are in their organic form. Plants, this is the problem with the organic movement. Plants can only eat inorganically. Things that can dissolve in water are chemically inorganic. And so that's the only thing that's available to the plant at the moment you put it on. Fish emulsion, seaweed, they have to decay before they're available to the plant. But they're good. You're adding minerals back. They're good.
Can somebody actually go out to the sea and just harvest the water, or is your product different than that? Because there's a lot of pollution in the sea. Is your product safe?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question too. I mean, we go out in a very particular area off the east coast of Florida on the far side of the Gulf Stream, because coastal waters are pretty heavily polluted. So we go out 40 miles. We go down a certain distance as well, because volatile organic pollutants tend to float on the top of the water. So we're very careful. And then when we come back with our processed product, where we extract the minerals and concentrate the minerals, we not only do that, our process also is very careful to protect the beneficial aerobic bacteria that fix nitrogen. There's azotobacter and nitrobacter in it. They fix nitrogen, and they do it for free. You know, good thing. So we also send a sample out to an environmental lab. We look for 70 different pollutants, and unless all 70 are below the detection limit, which is a half a part per billion, we don't package it.
Wow.
So it's pristinely clean. It's not just highly nutritious, but as the lab manager said when we sent him the first sample, he said what you feed to plants is cleaner than any drinking water supply on the planet, what you feed to plants.
So I know a lot of you guys might be thinking, John, man, after Fukushima, man, all the oceans are polluted, man. I'm not going to use that stuff because it's radioactive and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
is your guys' stuff radioactive? Is that, going to be a problem by putting that radioactivity in somebody's garden?
Yeah. Well, no, listen, we worry about things like that, and one of the reasons we don't harvest on the Gulf side of Florida is because the Gulf never really cleans itself out. It's almost like a bathtub. The Mississippi comes into it, and if you look at the amount of water that's exchanged between the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf Stream and the Gulf, it's very little. So we don't do it there. It's too polluted for us. So we pick our areas, but the answer to the Fukushima incident and things like it is that seawater is self-cleaning. It's self-balancing. You can overload it with one element, and literally a couple miles downstream it will be rebalanced. One of the things we haven't talked about is the proportionality. All those 90 elements are not there haphazardly. They're there in a certain proportion and an order that actually mirrors the human system. There was a doctor in the early 1900s, Rene Quintone, did a lot of research with replacement of blood with dilute seawater. I mean, I hate to say this because there's going to be some PETA watchers here, but he did experiments with dogs where he drained three quarters of the blood and replaced it with clean dilute seawater. And you can read these online. The dog was up and running around in half an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, after having 3/4 of his blood removed and replaced with clean dilute seawater.
I mean, think about it. If you guys go to the hospital, right, what's the first thing to do if you need an IV, right? It's a saline solution. It has a salt. So how important is salt to the plants?
Yeah, people ask that all the time. Sodium is one of the most important elements for translocating minerals. It's the one element in the periodic chart that controls the osmotic pressure, which is how minerals cross a semi-permeable live membrane. So it's very important, and we use it for its intended purpose, which is translocating minerals. So that's why the product can get into the plant so well. It's why it works so well as a foliar nutrient as well. It literally, in a minute, it could be inside the plant, and you can see changes in the color of the plant, in the veining. We've seen, I look at my arm here, but you can see changes in the color of the veining on leaves within a minute.
Wow,
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. I mean, this is probably one of the most fast-acting, naturally grown, ocean-grown products you can actually ever buy. So the next question I want to ask you is, USDA and other research and even other people on YouTube say, oh, plants only need 16 minerals, and this product has 90. I don't need the whatever, what's the math on that? 65 extra minerals, man. They're not needed because the USDA, you believe everything the USDA tells you? It says plants only need 16 or whatever, so what would you say to that?
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of research with plants, and a couple things going on here. One is that over the years, and we've been at this 12 years now, and Dr. Murray was at it most of his life, every plant has a certain genetic requirement to pick up a certain number of elements. And of all the foods, I think the lowest food we've ever found was like celery. Picks up 40-something elements. Tomatoes pick up 60-something elements. We've seen corns that pick up 72 elements.
Wow.
Sweet potatoes, 86 elements.
Wow.
Grasses almost always pick up 88, 89,
Wow.
90 elements. So the point is, I think, and not to knock the USDA, but look, if somebody had to put in the 17th element, or the 18th element, or the 19th element, there's no real economic, commercial way to do it. That last element might cost $1 million an acre to put in there. So for the USDA to come out and say, hey, you got to have this element, it's not practical. So what they've done is they set up the system where, okay, this is what you got to do as a minimum. I think it's a minimum standard. Obviously I don't believe in it because, to make a decent tomato, you need 60 elements. So if you want to make something that's more akin to medicine than food, you need to supply it all the elements that it requires genetically, okay? got to do it, because when you do that, you not only get great taste, you get unbelievable shelf life, double, sometimes triple the shelf life. You get something that really changes you physiologically. When I started this, I wanted to prove it to myself. Okay, does this really improve your health? And I thought I was healthy. Well, I lost 20 pounds without even having a hunger pang or trying to do it. A lot of energy, needed less sleep. Ailments that I've had my whole life, or since I was a child, went away over time. And I thought I was healthy. But that's what happens when you start eating nutrient-dense food.
Wow, I totally agree with that. I mean, I got into growing my own food and eating a higher quality food because of my health, because I want to have the highest level of health, because I was given, a bad hand when I was born with some genetic defective genes, or so what the doctor said, and that's why I got into it. And hopefully you guys are going to want to also, grow some nutrient-dense foods and eat them, because you'll not only taste the difference, but you'll feel different, and you'll also actually need to eat less food. So John, tell me if there's any research about growing healthier plants and using less pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. I mean, I've noticed in my garden, by adding the trace minerals, my plants are healthiher, and then I don't actually get as much pests.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of research has been done with it, and the higher the nutrient density of the food, the less attractive it is. And it's a funny thing, but yeah, the less attractive that the food is to pests. So you're not this constant requirement of the toxic chemistry that we spray on our fruits and vegetables, we've noticed that a lot of our customers are experiencing a huge reduction in protective chemicals. So yeah, just because of that nutrient density.
Wow, the nutrient-dense foods could do definitely a lot of things. I mean, improve the health of the plant, improve the yields of the plant, improve the taste of the plant, but more importantly, for me, improve the quality and the nutrition I'm eating. Not only are the minerals going to be higher in the produce, but when the plant has everything it needs, phytochemicals and phytonutrients, some of the most valuable things to me, are going to be higher in the plant as well. Well, I want to thank John for having him as a guest on the show today. I've definitely learned a lot, spending, actually a couple hours with him. You might see like just a small segment, but I spent hours with this man just picking his brain, so now I'm much more knowledgeable about growing a nutrient-dense, mineral-rich food. So now more than ever, I'm a big believer in the Ocean Solution product, because it is in that water-based form. I'm definitely going to be getting a injection system to inject into my watering systems, my irrigation system, and my hand watering system. It's always going to have this stuff going into it. I would highly encourage you guys to highly consider getting a setup like I'm going to do, and in a future episode I'll actually show you guys how to install it. And if you're interested in getting one now, be sure to check the link below and the special discount code that'll be in the description of the video, so that you guys can get the best price and get set up on this stuff, because I guarantee you guys will see a difference, not only in the taste, but in production and the health of your plants and the health of the planet at the same time. So John, if somebody wants to contact the company, how can they get more information and learn about it?
Yeah, you can go to the website oceansolution.com, and you can call or you can order online and use the discount code to save a good bunch of money. And you'll get good customer service from us if you have any questions. And of course, John will do the video, and so it'll be great.
All right, John. Well, thanks a lot for having you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about the trace mineral products. This is one of the foundation keys that I use in my garden, and I want to encourage everybody out there to start using it, because you will definitely see and feel and taste a difference. Once again, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and I'm on a field trip. I'm all the way down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Gotta say,